You guys released an acoustic album called Campfire Chords during the pandemic. Where
Yeah,
did
yeah,
the idea for that come from? And rumor has it that it was like piece by piece, people isolated in lockdown, recording their parts, sending it to you, and you
yeah,
assembled everything together.
yeah. That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah. So I think the idea came from um, Max was doing these. We've always kind of done acoustic gigs, right? Like even throughout, where we would do like that's like the one thing about his tunes that I always thought were amazing. That like you play them as like a big rock song, and then you can strip something down like Leather Jacket, which is you have 8,000 to 10,000 people screaming it at you, and then you strip it down, and Max is playing it acoustically, and it's like a gorgeous song, right? It's just all of his tunes are like that, and I learned that early on, right? And it's the campfire thing came from him doing these I forgot what he called them now. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. He was doing these like oh my god.
Like
Uh
MTV Unplugged or
no, he was doing these like Instagram live things every day at the start of the pandemic. And he was what the hell did he call it, man? Oh my god.
he had a snappy title for it.
He did.
Yeah.
And I literally can't remember.
Music Mondays
I'm
or
gonna
like
get
Winning
crucified.
Wednesdays or
So
whatever.
so he would do it every day, and he would teach everybody who was watching a song. So he'd be like, today we're gonna, and he started at like the beginning of Jackson Square and like worked his way through to whatever the last record. I don't think Blink Once had come out yet. So he worked all his way up to Rally Cry. And every morning he would message me at like 8 a.m. and be like, today I'm doing Ballad of Hugo Chavez. He's like, can you make a lyric sheet with chords above it? So this was just like this thing at the beginning of the pandemic that he was doing. So then I'd wake up, get this text from him. Okay, so then I put the lyrics in like my Word document, and I'd put the chords above it, like as if you're reading like a guitar tablature thing or whatever, right? And at the end of it, we had all of these like transcribed songs, and then Mike put together like a booklet that then we were like, oh, and kind of in the middle of all of it, Max was like, we should like record some of these, like because we don't have like a good acoustic record. And I just started getting into Pro Tools at the time, just from having worked with the guys in LA. I was like, oh, I really want to get into that. So I was like, I'll record it because I wanted to learn how to use Pro Tools. And what better way to do that is to start inputting stuff into it, right? So yeah, it was very much like, so it would start off with either like me doing a piano part that Max would sing to, or him. I'd be like, yo, just make me a GarageBand file of you playing acoustic guitar and the vocal and send it to me. I'll like do all the exporting and everything, and then I'll throw it into Pro Tools. So they started like that. And then I'd be like, maybe I would put something on it or maybe not. And then I'd be like, I send it to Nick and be like, put the bass part on, and then he'd send it back. And then I'd send it to Mike. I'd be like, put Mike did on one song on Come to Light, he actually played the flute. Like he was like, I don't want to do guitar on this. Like, I want to do the flute. And I was like, well, dude, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want. You know what I mean? So then he sends back flute, and I'm like, great. And I put the flute in there. And then with Tim, it was a little more difficult because it's like always with drums, it's you need a space, and so we rented our friend Aaron Goldstein's studio that was in Kensington for a bit, and just did like a whole day of drum tracking, and then again halfway through it, Max is like, I got like a song, like an acoustic song, and that was Quitting You. And he sent it to me, and I was like, this is amazing. And we actually used the GarageBand demo on that. Like he's recording through like a USB mic. But it was just such a good vocal take. And we left it dry. Like there's no reverb or anything on it. Just like it's right there. And it worked out great. We ended up getting some radio play with it. And it's the other thing is like, talking about like, how do these things get arranged, is these are things we do live, right? Like we always break down in the middle of a set and do an acoustic bit. So, oh, now we have an acoustic song that we play in the middle of the set, and it works out. So, so it's just like all these things kind of tie in. But yeah, with Campfire, it was a fun project. It was really, actually, I got really like, we were working on that for like maybe the first 8 to 9 months of the pandemic. And like, really, it was like every day, like I was at the time, we didn't have a nanny because like it was like, beginning of COVID, you're like keep the house on lockdown, like we don't want anyone in or out or whatever. And so I was watching Scarlett and I would be watching Oscar during the day, and then when he was on naps at that time, right when he's on a nap. I come into my room, I start working on Campfire Chords. She's in her room doing photo editing stuff, and then he'd wake up and we both go down, and and then at night he'd be in bed by 6:30, and I'd work until midnight, and same thing with Scarlett. And so when it was finished, when we finished it, I actually got really depressed. I was like, I had nothing to do because we still weren't playing shows, and we just finished this like really rigorous recording thing, and so but yeah, really fun record to make, and fits itself nicely in kind of like all the crazy rock tunes that we have.
So Blink Once was also recorded during the pandemic. Did that one have to be pieced together as well, or were further along the pandemic where you could actually get in the studio
No, and
together?
that's the thing. Like a lot of that stuff just became so. I mean, I'm glad it all came together, but it's tough working that way because like you want to be there and you want to finish it, and so we actually right before the pandemic we were in. Well, they announced the pandemic anyway. Like we were in LA in February, and we were working on stuff, and our intentions were to go back. Like we only came home because we had like a gig we had to take, right? So we come home, and then at that gig, the whole thing gets shut down, like the NBA shut down and everything, like, and then we realized that, oh fuck, like we're in a thing now, and we couldn't go back to LA to finish. So we were throwing stuff back and forth, and it's hard, I mean, it's like you can only do so much, I mean, like my vibe is like I need to be with everyone and hearing what people are doing and vibing off of it, and how do you vibe? Like I'm in my studio by myself, you know what I mean? Like maybe get a little high and I just loop things or whatever, but like I'm not bouncing ideas off of people, and you need that, right? So yeah, it's definitely that record, Campfire Record is a little easier because the songs have already, they've already written themselves, you know what I mean? Like so it's an easy record to put together. But Blink Once and Blink Twice very much were on that level of like we were throwing stuff back and forth with a producer over email.
So we have a question from someone So this is Chris Hummel of the Dreamboats from Mississauga, Ontario. So he says, we've all been following you for a long time and watch you guys all grow to one of the top Canadian bands. Was there a specific incident that occurred that made you feel that the band went up leaps and bounds in that moment? Like maybe a specific gig or a festival or a manager or something in particular, for example? So was there something that that really brought you up to the next level?
So many different moments, right? I want to say like when we did on the Rally Cry tour, when we came home and played Scotiabank Arena, and it was like totally sold out. That was like, I was like, whoa, what the F is happening? I mean, like that felt huge. But then we'd also been doing arenas before that. It's hard. I don't know. I don't slowly hearing people singing louder, maybe, like when we were talking about like Leather Jacket, like hearing people sing stuff back. That was kind of the first moment that it was like, oh, it's getting loud now, and people are really invested in this show, and then just building off of that. The Rally was another big one that at Tim Hortons Field, like that was a whirlwind of a show. And, I don't know. I'm always waiting for what's the expression?
The shoe to drop. Yeah.
So I don't ever go like,
you're cautiously optimistic.
I know. Yeah. It's brutal. It's a brutal way to live, to be honest. No, but it's, so I'm always like, oh, this is really crazy. And then immediately my brain goes to like, oh, but is the next one going to be like that? So there's not really, it's always like it's like a ladder, or a step ladder, like, up and down, but yeah, that's great. Yeah. They're in Palm Springs right now, or LA, the Dreamboats.
Yeah, they're there for as long as their visas hold up. So I think for the next year or so.
And speaking of like old band members, so Justin, who
Mr. Zoltek,
yeah, he's with them now, and and it's great. It's so great to see again people that you kind of were just with for such long times and doing music. Like I feel like I have a lot of friends that are still doing music, and it's really awesome to see.
So I have a very open-ended question from a fan. This is from Joshua Watson from Exeter, Ontario. What inspires you?
Yeah, just generally, or like
That's all I got. 3 words. What
yeah, totally.
inspires you?
What inspires you? I don't I have different muses, I guess. Like you know, Max is very inspirational because he really wants to work and again isn't afraid to try things, and so that is very inspirational. Um, my wife Scarlett is such probably one of the hardest working people I know. I don't really know a lot of musicians are like they work hard, but we're also very lazy, right? You know what I mean? And she's on a different level where like it is the work ethic is crazy, and that inspires me because sometimes I'm like, oh fuck, like, am I being lazy? Like, do I need to go and do something right now? She's always doing something, so that's very inspirational. I don't know, like like I smoke a lot of weed and that really gets me in the zone sometimes, where I can like loop things for hours and kind of come up with stuff. I don't know. Yeah, lots of you just try and find it where you can.